Hello, community members. Welcome to another Woman of the Week. I'm Jackie Rise, your community leader, and today I'm very excited to welcome Andrea Taylor, Channel Account Manager for Deepwatch. Hi, Andrea. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Hi, Jackie. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Very well here. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, well, let's dip into some easy questions to start off so we can get to know you better. Where do you live and where did you grow up if that's different?
Good question. So I currently live in Carmel, Indiana. We moved here about 2 years ago from Chicago. I was born and raised in Indiana, and then after college, moved to Chicago, spent 16 years there, and then finally moved back for family.
Oh, nice. Very nice. I've been to Chicago once and it was
There you go.
really cold, but beautiful.
Yes, that tends to be the MO for it.
So, what is a little known fact about you that you don't mind sharing with us?
Sure. So I actually grew up playing basketball. My dad was my coach. I played basketball from fourth grade all the way through high school. So that's something that I enjoy doing. And I am trying to teach the little guys. I have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old as well, too, in terms of following the love. Indiana and basketball are certainly synonymous as well, too. So that's something a little bit of an unknown fact about me.
That's so fun. I love that. And then, what a cool thing to be able to do with your young and your little ones.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's dip into your professional career. So, if you don't mind, tell me a little about your career path and how you reached this position you're in today.
Sure, absolutely. So out of college, I started working at CDW. I had no idea how to save to a floppy drive. So the idea that I would be selling technology, whether it be hardware, software, at the time they really didn't have too many services, to someone was completely out of left field. But nevertheless, that's where I started my career with at CDW. In one of their offices outside of Chicago as well. So I started there, and then I had an opportunity to be a little bit more intimate with clients based upon where I was working at CDW in the S&B division. So I moved to a smaller bar that allowed me to actually travel and visit my clients and kind of be that person that's a little bit more front and center for them. So I did that for a number of years. And then I had an opportunity to be a BDR actually for ESET. So ESET's a endpoint cybersecurity company headquartered abroad. And then we also had a headquartered location in San Diego. From that role, I was given the opportunity to be a channel account manager and managing 3, maybe 4 national accounts. And so that was my first kind of step into what it's like to work in the channel as far as an opportunity perspective. And then I had an opportunity to jump over to Deepwatch and take advantage of really the boom and where security is headed with managed services as well too.
Amazing. Such a variety for your background, which I'm sure serves you in your role today, which is wonderful, amazing. How do you differentiate yourself?
That's a good question. I don't know if it's necessarily differentiate, but for me personally, the way I go about business is always relationships first and foremost. Business is kind of on the side. It's maybe not something you're supposed to say, but for me, it's about the relationship. Once you build that foundational relationship, you can take the business anywhere you want to go. But it's that foundation business and really having the relationship that starts things moving in the right direction. So one thing that has always resonated with me is people never remember what you say, but they're always going to remember how you feel. So for me, it's about walking into any kind of a relationship and making sure that that person feels valued first and foremost, and making sure that we're taking care of what their needs are from business perspective and be able to kind of weave in what our goals and objectives are as well too. The other thing for me is attitude. Positive mental attitude. I know people say it kind of cliche as well too, but I'm always really a glass half full person. I'm not to say that we certainly haven't had our challenges or situations, but I look at it and say, how do we make as much lemonade as possible as well too? And that goes across the board, whether it's internal things that we're working on or whether it's internal and partner things that we're working on as well too. But attitude certainly plays a significant role in making sure that you're moving in the right direction.
So you are speaking my language. It's funny, as you were saying, like glass is half full. Like I say that a lot and I'm like, I know I'm the forever optimist. I know it's cheesy, but it brings such a different attitude, like you said, right? And I love that you're you're differentiating yourself, if we're going to use that word as the question, by bringing yourself and building
Yes.
these relationships with who you truly are, which is amazing.
Absolutely. I remember starting to work on partner relationships. When I come into town, I would know no one. And now when I go and visit different areas, I'm lucky if I have a free minute to myself, which is a great problem to have at the end of the day, but it really is the foundation to success. They're all of the relationships that you have. And there's so many wonderful people in the channel that I'm very privileged to be where we are.
Amazing. What is something that you've learned that you wish you knew earlier in your career?
Stepping into anything in tech, I feel like you're supposed to know everything, and it's okay if you don't. So for me personally, know your strengths and know your weaknesses, and don't be afraid to find someone that supplements your weakness. So I can talk speeds and feeds and some numbers, but when you get into some of the technical things, that's the time I'm bringing in any kind of an engineer, or if I'm working on some internal numbers, I want someone to take another peek at it and see what story these numbers tell them, et cetera, because that's not going to necessarily be my strength, but it's a story I have to tell when I do a formal presentation as well. So knowing your weaknesses and being able to supplement those appropriately is huge. I would say number two is actually speak up. I remember sitting in a couple of different executive meetings and my boss would IM me, like, Andrea, speak up. I know you have an opinion on this. You've shared this with me. And I think everyone can kind of relate to that situation where you're sitting there like, oh man, are they really thinking this? It should be this instead. And so for me, it was also trying to find that voice and say, hey, let's go ahead and take a different angle at this. This is what I think the partner might be feeling at this point in time. Let's reshift our thinking at that point. And then I think the last thing is kind of thinking through these questions is that there's always a pressure to kind of find a mentor. And I think we need to kind of expand maybe where we find our mentor. It's not just going to be one single person. It's going to be a journey of people that you're going to find as you progress along your own personal journey as well too. It might be someone in a book. It might actually be someone that you're working with from a peer perspective, that they're teaching you something and it's not that formal, you're my mentor kind of a relationship. But I think we need to kind of expand some of our horizons and think about mentors a little bit more broadly. And I'm excited to see kind of where that takes, because I found myself having between 20, 25 different mentors just along a career path, and where you're just able to take certain nuggets.
That's a lot of amazing advice. I don't even know where to start. So I'm going to just stick with a couple of the things that stuck out to me. I know that all of what you just said is going to resonate with people. Again, bringing your authentic self, like it's okay if you don't know everything. You're not supposed to know everything. No one knows everything. So using your strengths and bringing those team members in who can help fill in those gaps.
100%.
Yeah. The, positivity again, like it's just, it comes off of you, like even with your smile, like you can see it's kind of like a really good energy you have on the positivity and smiling, very welcoming. I love that. And then mentoring. I'm so glad that you talked about that. I would say younger in my career, that was a hard thing. I'm like, should I have a mentor? Should I ask for a mentor?
Right.
I don't know what to do. But organically, you're right. Like, I mean, I never even thought about it. Like even reading a book, like someone who's speaking in something that you're connecting with, like that is mentoring. And, you'll have your work mentors and your life mentors and family or friends, or, maybe someone you met at a conference, like speaking something into you that kind of clicks and resonates. So yeah, I love that you said that. That's amazing.
Thank you.
All right. I think we have time for one more. So let's go with, have you ever questioned your abilities and qualifications? And if so, how did you overcome that?
Oh my gosh, yes, absolutely. I think everyone has at some point in time. My first channel role, my boss handed me names, phone numbers, and email addresses along with the account names and said, go. I'm like, oh my God. I know the role because I've seen it be done before, and I know the kind of person I want to be in that role. But what am I supposed to say? I can cold call all day long. That's totally fine. But when it comes to picking up the phone and saying, what kind of questions do I need to be asking? That's where the intimidation factor came in. So the heart was racing, things of that nature. But really, it's baby steps. pick up the phone, have the conversation. All of us are human. We're building that relationship. So just go back to the foundational things that we know. Um, and you have an opportunity to understand, where that relationship stands today, where things can be going forward, and kind of just take those next steps together as you build your business as well too. So I would say in that moment, I'm like, I shouldn't necessarily be here, but we're going to make this work by just taking some of those baby steps. And then one other comment kind of story is that my first time visiting a partner, I walked in and they pulled me aside and they said, Andrea, you are not allowed to use a megaphone to talk to the sales team. I just looked at him like, oh my gosh, one uses megaphones. That's not my MO at all. If that's what I need to make sure that I don't do to be successful, we got this down. So it's little types of nuggets like that you realize where you can be drawing from and say, I can do this. I know how to do this. It's not a big deal. So.
I love that. I love the story too. Amazing. I hope that everyone continues the conversation and share some of their nuggets as you coin that little phrase today. I love that. Little bits of things that can help us all are amazing, and not everything's going to resonate with everyone, but you certainly did today with me. I really enjoyed talking to you, Andrea. Thank you so much for giving your time and a little bit of your story shared with all of us.
Oh, you're very welcome. I appreciate the opportunity and thank you very much.
All right, community, that is your Woman of the Week. Until next time, happy Wednesday.